Welcome to Sebring International Raceway. Home to the 12 Hours of Sebring, one of the most grueling tests in endurance racing, this is a track which has earned a fearsome reputation among drivers. The circuit itself is located on the southeastern edge of the city of Sebring, Florida, and was built out of Hendricks Army Airfield shortly after World War II. 3 layouts are currently in use, ranging from 1.7 to 3.7 miles in length. The longest course, which is perhaps the most well-known with it being the one used for the famed endurance race, shockingly still contains portions of the original airfield surface. It's this aspect which has become a signature feature of the track, making it extremely bumpy for racing. Sunset Bend in particular nearly shakes cars apart while they attempt to navigate the high-speed 180-degree corner. As you'd expect for the side of an airfield, there's nearly no elevation change over the course of a lap, but many of the curves are dramatically tall and unforgiving, daring drivers to glance them yet not hit them directly. Thankfully, places to pass are plentiful, including spots like the Hairpin and Cunningham. However, the many fast, sweeping turns creates a dilemma for car setup, since a vehicle that's made too stiff could wind up bottoming out on the onerous bumps. In the end, if you have the wherewithal to withstand the track's rough nature, you're likely to fare well. And since Florida fans almost always show up in huge numbers to witness this test of car and driver, you'll have plenty to impress at this legendary North American road course. 222 drivers all threw their best at the pre-qualifiers. Only a small fraction made the cut. And today, those top drivers take to the track as we get ready for round 1 of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup North America. I am Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Jake Sperry. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Jake, we have a lot of people who are excited to see this started, me among them.
Me as well. Look, this is going to be an absolutely stacked field's worth of drivers, and you start them off by saying this is the challenge. It's 6 races in 6 weeks to prove that you are top dog of North America. It's nothing more simple than that, and you start at one of the great circuits in the world. You cannot have racing in March without heading to Sebring.
For sure. And in fact, let's take a look at all the different places that they're going to be going to over the course of this season, starting off with Sebring, as we just mentioned. But then after that, it's one of the newer tracks on iRacing, Miami International Autodrome. Off to Watkins Glen down in April. And then we have Road America, another classic, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, personal favorite of mine. And finally, we'll wrap up at Road Atlanta at the end of April. So should be fun to see how drivers take to a lot of very important tracks here on North America. But Jake, talk us through what this one is going to be like.
So the old airfield base that has moved itself into one of racing royalty, a 6.01 kilometer circuit here at Sebring. And critically, it's all about the transition from concrete to asphalt, which is going to be key. You get that at the end of turn 1, and as you run along the Flying Fortress Straight through turns 15 and 16, which is over at Jean de Bienne, over to Le Mans. You've got great overtaking opportunities that will come through, the likes of the Hotel Hairpin at turn 7, Cunningham Corner at turn 10, and then Tower at turn 13. But every single corner lines up to turn 17, Sunset Bend. It's the corner of 1,004 lines because there's many different ways to take it, and only one will be correct. The driver who wins here today, Joe, will have to be the one who holds themselves accountable and says, I can master the bumps.
Well, you got to respect the bumps. That's what they like to say around here. But besides the track itself, round 1 out of 6 sees a 40-minute race. That's going to be our standard format the entire week, or season rather. Fixed setups, which if you're not familiar with iRacing, that means everybody is on the same car setup. That's all equal. They don't have any spare cars waiting in pit lane. So if you break it, you bought it. They're going to be a rolling start, as they do in the North American Series in real life. We do have live stewards, and besides that, they do have drive-through penalty at 20 incidents, and then, of course, bonus points for pole and fastest laps. But let's head down to our lap guide with Aaron Janson.
Hey everyone, Aaron Janson here to take you for a lap around Sebring International Raceway in the brand new Porsche 911 Cup car. So here as we approach turn 1, we're going to pass under the bridge, look for the end of the wall. It's a medium brake down to 4th gear, get right up to the wall at apex
What's up,
and
guys?
roll in the throttle before we can even see the exit of the corner. In turn 3, we're going to carry the speed as far as we can into the corner with a compromise section coming up, and then we're fully focused on setting up for the exit of turn 5. Big commitment to full throttle here, getting the best exit we can down the straightaway. And then we're going to stay track right and use the shortest distance around the lap that we can right here. The track's a bit less bumpy than it is in real life, so we're going to stay all the way to the left and charge turn 7, condensing it as much as we can, getting the time on entry and on exit here. A few flat out corners for the Porsche here in between 7 and 10. So we're just going to hug tight, take the shortest distance, and another deep braking zone here in turn 10. But here we're going to be patient to the throttle because we don't want to track all the way out here. We want to set up for turn 11, but then all the way down to 13. It's a bit of an awkward braking zone here, hard on the brakes momentarily, but instantly bending in, using the compression here at the apex to roll that speed through the apex. So a bit of a tricky section here. We're flat out through Bishop's Bend, and we want to straighten the car up for the brake zone of 15 right here. And again, patient to throttle, similar to turn 10, because we want to set up for turn 16. So cut the car to the left, open up 16 as much as possible, slow hands to the apex, and fully focusing on this exit, because this is the best place for passing, one of the best places for lap time. So coming down to 17, a lot of places you can put your eyes, a lot of things to look at. We're going to look at the 3 cone, and we're going to turn in fully and then straighten our hands for a hard braking zone here. 180 degrees, going to carry the speed as much as we can, and then we're just going to manhandle the car over the bumps, try to commit to power, and again, trust this arrow here. Get the best exit we can. That's a lap around Sebring.
And big thanks to Aaron for giving us that track guide for this weekend, or for this week, I should say, because this weekend he is at the actual Sebring. He is a real-world Porsche Carrera Cup North America racer, but he's also going to be competing in the last 3 races of this season. So we'll get to talk about him more. He's got all kinds of neat stories about his journey through motorsport. But our journey into this series has been an interesting one, Jake, because the pre-qualifiers, which I alluded to at the top of the show, saw the top 40 that made it in separated by half a second. That's not 5 seconds, that's half a second between 40 drivers.
It goes to show you how strong the field is going to be and how much getting into this series will mean. I mean, I look at the drivers list out there. In and amongst all of these drivers, we've got the 2024 eNASCAR champion, for example. You've got drivers who have proved themselves by winning Porsche Carrera Cup Canada in the past in the esports sphere. You've got drivers who pretty much stand up on song and have won pretty much everything in endurance spec for some of the best teams out there in the world. We got some of the best community creators out here in this race. This is a who's who of who's who. If I wanted to put the 40 best sim racers from North America into a race here, Joe, I'd turn around and I'd probably pick all 40 of these drivers, if I'm quite honest.
Yeah, I agree. I was really wowed with those who showed up. Here we see Parker White, as you mentioned, former eNASCAR champion, but even before he became champion, he raced in the Porsche Esports Super Cup at the top level, which, let's talk about the importance of this series, Jake, because not only is this competing for bragging rights here in North America, the top 3 will advance to the regionals. This is a new format that Porsche is using in their esports championship this season. And these national level races that we're going to be seeing in this series are your first step to advancing. Now, they will have open qualifying to try and get into those regional series, so drivers who don't compete in this do have opportunities, but you finish in the top 3 here, you are getting automatic entry into that regional series.
It's your golden ticket, isn't it? And I think it's really clever here from Porsche. It consolidates the base and it says every region has a chance to represent itself on the international stage. And I think that's going to be important, just as important as qualifying, Joe, is going to be, as that will just start 15 minutes open qualifying, and look at that, everybody's wanting to get straight out the gates.
40 cars are going to fill this track at once. Nobody is wasting time. They're going to have to make some space out there. Look at how crowded they are. But the good news is, like you said, they have the 15 minutes. And the interesting aspect of this is, with it being on a fixed setup and with enough fuel to go the entire distance, that means laps are likely to get quicker by the end. But that also means, Jake, you can't throw away the car. If you have to tow the car back to pit lane, it restarts with a full tank of fuel.
And I think what they've got to be also looking at here, yes, the car gets lighter as they go, but one of the biggest managing factors here today is going to be the tyre wear in qualifying. And what I mean by that is, how hot are the tyres going to get when you push at 100% for 2-3 laps at a time? It's a 27 degrees Celsius air temperature. Track temperature is going to be in and around the 90s at the moment in terms of Fahrenheit. So this is, as you set down, a track that on a dog walking to egg frying ratio is just about on the cusp of either, so you can do one or the other. So you look around and say, what's this going to mean for these drivers? It means I don't think they can push every single lap and hope to be the quickest. I think you're going to look, it's going to take 2 laps to get the tyres into an operating window, then you're going to get maybe 2 push laps, a cool lap, and then your final lap.
My goodness, look at how busy it is out there. And some drivers already trying to weave to heat up those tires, obviously, much like you would see in real world racing. But like Jake was saying, you can't overcook them around here. So you do have to be careful. But these are also drivers and teams that have a lot of experience in this realm and esports at the top level. So they know how to get them up to temperature. In fact, this team, Coanda, definitely knows how to compete at the top level. We'll see how they do up against North America's best as we get our first flying lap started. Xander Reed here in the 77 takes it down through turn 1.
Yeah, and looking for the drive off the exit. So much wheel hop there over the bumps and through that small kink right of 2 and into 3. Xander Reed is looking to really start this lap off and say, I am the benchmark. He's got his teammate behind in the ever-mercurial Mitchell de Jong, so he'll be looking here through the gurney bend at turn 6 for a really nice, strong start to his lap. He's eyeing up this hotel hairpin right now. Watch for the braking marker. You can use the feet board out there, the yardage boards, 400 feet. There is the cone with 4 marks there alongside it. He hit the mark absolutely brilliantly. And now over to the second half of the circuit, the bit furthest away on track. Now Cunningham Corner, this is going to be a key place in the race. Find your braking marker, and it's very difficult out of here and into Collier.
You'll often see pass attempts into that corner, but the battles tend to work their way through here into Collier and down into Tower. So it's a matter of who is brave through that narrow part of the circuit. But nobody should be battling side by side here in qualifying. Not expecting to see that. It'll be down to who is just straight up quickest through there. Then following Xander Reed on around, let's see where the 77 winds up putting himself. One of the most important corners on the track here. Le Mans, Jake, leading onto the Ullman Straight.
This pretty much sets your run up for the final corner, Sunset Bend. So if you find yourself then in trouble, there is no shocks about it. That's how quickly it can go wrong if you just go a little bit too far wide. You scrub a little too much speed trying to get the runoff for the exit. Now at Sunset Bend, takes a big wide line out all over the white line. Now looking to dive back then through over the bumps on the inside. It's a carving line that looks to get it sorted. He's backed out of his attempt here, so obviously didn't like the lap, did Xander Reed, as he crosses the line for a 2:08.4. He'll be eclipsed then by Kai Diel, who will go fastest then on a 2:09. Parker White, his teammate, then immediately behind at 0.5 of a second. With an open qualifying like this, you're looking to try and be around, albeit here in this session, Joe, which will not shock many, your teammate. This is going to be about who's there helping you and what space do you have to have that help out there in this session.
Williams Esports, another name that is very well known in the sim racing realm, obviously topping the timing at the first try. We have to remember when you see those drivers back out, they do have live stewards watching. So you are not allowed to impede others in this qualifying session. That's why you're seeing many of them decide, you know, it's not worth trying to carry on with this if I'm not on a good lap, and they'll try and pull out of the way of others. But it does take away an opportunity, and you're going to need every single lap around here, 2 minutes plus, to try and circulate around this track. It offers precious few opportunities to cross that stripe, Jake.
Yeah, offers precious few. We're on board with Aiden Young at the moment. He's a fantastic young driver at WSR Esports. They have also picked up Jaden Munoz away from Williams, so that's a big key grab that they've been able to get there as they build a North American-based, British-based team, WSR, and a whole host of cars then in a line, and you can get the sense of where they are. Michael Polasek, then you've got Danish Hassan in the line there. You've got Munoz then, who's our focus, and in front of him, Antoine Lacharite and Andrew Caron, 2 Canadians. They're all there as part of WSR North America, essentially, and now they're looking to try and say, well, there's a reason why we want cars in front of us of the same team. They get the tow, and the car in front gets the tow of that, and we know what our pace is, and we're going to get everything we can from it. 2:07 is the time to beat. Sean Campbell goes quickest then on a 2:04. Jaden Munoz to the front row.
So a complete switch around from what we saw on that first lap as White and looking for Kai. Looks like Kai is down to 5th. White is down to 7th, with a bunch of drivers jumping them on the second time around. Those who are used to sim racing are seeing this, probably wondering why there is an open qualifying for this. Well, one thing that this series is aiming to do is to mimic the real world Porsche Carrera Cup North America wherever possible. And it is a 15-minute open qualifying in the real world races. So that's what these drivers are having to deal with in the sim realm as we watch Kai come through Fangio down into Cunningham. He and Parker are tied at the hip, basically, in this qualifying. They have not separated this whole time.
Well, they can't afford to, because that's how powerful the draft is, and it will give you a couple tenths of a second on the course of the lap, so you've got to get that into check. You look at Kai Diel right now, and a lot of feel on the steering wheel then as he goes through these corners. Look at how much he has to wrestle against it. That's all the force feedback that's going through his wheelbase at the moment as he tips it in through Jean de Bienne and over into this Le Mans section. You can take a lot more than what you'd expect to through that section. You can go over the white line, and the racing line rubbers up out there on that concrete section, and so you're very much looking at what you've got. So yellow in the opening sector didn't improve. Did find improvement, though, in Sector 2, which is critical. And now you'll see at Sunset Bend, so long as you can keep the lap time improving, you can be very happy with it. Look, he's almost having to posture to the inside, giving the hurry up to Parker White.
Let's see what the last one is. He crosses the line, 2 flat 5. That's pretty decent. It'll be good enough for the front row, but it is 3/10 off of Sean Campbell, and he immediately is bumped downwards. Lacharite is up to 2nd now. Luke Wallace to P3. It is still in flux at the front, and we are still waiting on 4 drivers to set a time. 3 drivers, rather, down at the bottom. Logan Ragioni, Aiden Pohl, and William Rasmussen.
They've all got to find times, and they know they're running out of time to do it. We're down to under 6 minutes left here in qualifying, so there is not long at all. Here is Logan Ragione then to make the push towards the line. That's a 2:15.4, which, as it goes, will not count as a lap because there was an invalidation on that attempt. So the RPM car is going to have to really push this 992.2 Cup car, the brand new version out there on iRacing. This is its 2nd season in full competition and flow, and my, has it really revitalized what we see. There is Lacharite, who sits then in 2nd position. He's got possibly the greatest all-rounder in all of sim racing behind him in Mitchell de Jong. When you talk about what he's done as a sim racer, he's been in almost every series, he's won at every level, and that goes from being in cars like these Porsches, all the way up to Formula vehicles in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix series back in the day.
You mentioned the 992.2, and yeah, we've had chances to get very used to it here in the sim. Like you said, it's been around for about a season now, but we have to remember that it is going racing for the first time in North America this weekend. So this series is actually kind of beating it to the punch a little bit in that sense. But drivers like Aaron Janson definitely using iRacing and the like to help train and get used to, get valuable seat time in this brand new car. We get some more laps across the board, and it looks like Sean Campbell, this last time by, did not improve. Andrew Caron, though, is up to within 0.08 of a second of that pole time. In fact, top 6 are split by 0.181 of a second right now.
That's nothing out there, and you're putting such a huge emphasis on how quick you've got to try and get yourself up there. Add Gregory Hoverson then to the mix, because Jaden Munoz has gone third fastest on a 2-minute .279, so that's 3 within a tenth. That's 7 within 2/10 out there at the moment. You're trying to pin yourself somewhere inside the top 15. That will give you an opportunity to make something of the race. Otherwise, you're fighting for scraps at that point onwards. And, well, if you're talking about difference between top 15 or not, they've found an extra gear, because, again, it's half a second that's the margin between top or not. And the grid and go car of Sean Campbell, he is lightning fast in anything that he sets his mind to. And I'll tell you what he was doing this weekend, getting himself ready for racing action, Joe. He was doing the Oceanic Sim Racing Bathurst 12-hour.
Well, now he's going to try and see how he fares over on this side of the hemisphere. But unfortunately for him, this lap also not an improvement. You could see did not have personal best in the first or second sector, but he is giving quite a nice tow to both Kai and Parker directly behind him. And you can add Will Rasmussen into that. So he is going to allow them through. Is this intra-team tactics? Is there some tie between them?
I think he wants slipstream. I don't think this is about getting tow or helping another team out there. Difficult when you're on your own. You're basically freelancing. You're trying to get the best piggyback that you possibly can around there on circuit. Parker White needs a good lap, and so he finds himself up into the top 10 in 8th position with that 2-minute .3 that he sets down on the board. So you're just trying to find someone who can help you out there on your lap. You're hoping that you find the right lap at the right place at the right time, and whoever's in front of you, you're hoping that they're also going to be a driver that's going to jump up with pace. You've got Zavadil, who's gone up, Troncoso to 6th, Zander Reed to the front row, 15,000 shy of pole.
And I think our first driver that's going to wind up having to take that checkered flag is likely going to be Paul Darling, currently sitting 32nd. He crossed with about 2 minutes left, and that's assuming he can get down to that 2-minute mark, because he's at a 2:01.2 currently. Xander Reed, as you mentioned, up to the front row, replacing Andrew in the number 6. It continues to be extremely tight all throughout. Right now, 33 cars are split by 1.2 seconds.
I tell you what, if this is what it's going to be like just on the regional series, I turn around and think that the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup is going to be absolutely as intense as anything, as they're all looking to try and get themselves sorted. Caron in 3rd position is hoping that with his WSR teammates all around him, he can find one more great lap that can launch them up to the first pole position of the series. But they know that if this lap doesn't work, they've still got another to go and get a banker in with. So this is where you put the chips down. They've done 14 minutes of qualifying, Joe, just to give them an option if it goes wrong on the last lap. The last lap, doesn't matter if you make a mistake, you go all out.
And he's about to start that last lap pretty soon, but he's on 2 green sectors. It's looking very good. He only has to make up 0.08 of a second to take the pole away if Sean doesn't improve himself, mind you.
Stretch.
Oh, goodness. Now, thankfully, drivers don't really have to slow down like you would in real life for that, so they can just carry on as those two tow, but they cannot take their final lap. And Andrew has now taken the pole.
Steals it, 11 thousandths of a second. It was Kai DL and William Rasmussen. Rasmussen was trying to set up that final lap. There was contact between them, and so that was all trouble as they sat. So Sean Campbell now has got to try and pull the finger out and find a time. Zander Reed currently in 3rd. Joe, this final session, checkered flag is out, so cars are going to be seeing now the end of this qualifying session. The big key for this is very simple. Have a lap or don't. Mitchell de Jong raises the bar higher.
Wow. Now we have the 48 up at the top, and it's by a full 1/10 of a second. But based on what we've been seeing, that's a pretty decent gap. Everybody else struggling to separate by more than 100th or so around here. We're on board with Xander Reed in the 77. It looks like his middle sector was his strongest on the previous lap. He is going to have a fair tow in front of him with a number of cars, as long as they don't hold him up.
Well, can't afford a hold up here, and this is what you have as trouble. If you can't get the time out of Leonardo Dragotta, who's on a 2:05, Aiden Maitai, who is also in front. Xander Reed, you can tell he knows it's going down right now. He's got a backwards cap on.
He's prepared. As I'm watching to see who is going to be our next to cross the line, it looks like La Charite in the 21. He is followed by Caron, our former pole sitter, who could steal that back, and Jaden Munoz, who's in 6. So we could see a change up at the front here shortly as we follow Reed, still riding on board. Now on to the backstretch. I can report that Antoine is coming out of Sunset Bend and towards the timing line. I'm keeping an eye out in case he or his teammates improves, and Antoine is not going to improve, it looks like. Andrew is not going to be able to take the pole back away from de Jong. It stays at about a 1/10 of a second. We watch Xander Reed get ready to cross the line as he went all the way to the exit. And it looks like he is actually going to be our pole sitter. He takes it by 0.03 of a second.
And not only is he, it is Kawanda 1-2 at the front. As far as it stands, there's still a handful of cars that could make something happen, which includes Mitchell de Jong. Carl Cesare there, 28th position. Mitchell de Jong is over the line on a 2:0.56. What a qualifying, Joe. And it goes to show you that the best teams are the ones that prepare their drivers the best. And, you know, you can't get any better than stamp your mark down for a team that collaborates quite strongly with Porsche. Kawanda are on top.
Wow. We said it was going to go right down to the end because of the fuel. Didn't think it would be one of the final drivers to the line that upsets the order as we wait for the drivers to get to the grid. Now qualifying is officially over. Big shout out to all of Porsche Motorsports North America out at Sebring. We know you guys are watching out there in the trailer right now. Glad to see everybody is enjoying the virtual racing from the real world Sebring, as it looks like drivers getting ready to head to the grid at this stage. 36 drivers getting ready to compete in the first ever round of this series. And it is looking like it is going to be as close as you could ask for. Well, with people now gridding up, I suppose it's time to head on over to that starting grid here shortly. And Jake, I think it is going to be extremely tough to get any positions.
I think it's going to be very difficult off the start. I absolutely agree. These drivers will all be racing at 10/10 at the maximum level that the car can get. So what you find at that level is you're looking for a micro mistake out of the car in front. You're looking for the tiniest little moment that's going to say you can go and gain half a tenth somewhere that will gain you something 2 laps down the road. If you want to think about normal racing out there as checkers, this is chess.
Well, right now, holding the place of the king and the queen, it is Xander Reed on the pole with Mitchell de Jong, Coanda drivers, taking the first row. Third and fourth sees Andrew Caron and Sean Campbell, 2 other very strong drivers, WSR Esports representing well, with 5th place going to Antoine Lacharite, and then 6th place goes to Jaden Munoz in row 3. Row 4 will be Manuel Troncoso. He's got Luke Wallace for company. 2 minutes and 0.3 seconds that lap time compared to the top. So close. Gregory Holberson in 9th with Jake. We've got Alex Johnson rounding out the top 10.
You know it's a strong field when Parker White starts 11th. Dalton Zavadil for fiercely forward will be going then on row 6. It's then Leonardo Dragotta in 13th and Jordan Eyre who will be there in 14th, the second of the fiercely forward cars. His teammate Aidan Maytage will be there in 15th, and Guillaume Levesque, well, he knows the game all too well. He is a student of it in 16th. Kevin Desnoyer is going to be 17th. Kai Diel, who's involved in the incident in qualifying, he's on row 9. Your top 20 rounded out by Ross O'Connor and Maximilian Muir.
From there, we get towards the latter half of the field with row 11 seeing Charles-Etienne Boucher next to Jordan Johnson in 22nd. P23 is going to be Danish Hassan. He'll be flanked by Christian Meniz. Then we get down to row number 13. Aaron Myers starts in 25th. He'll have Michael Polisek next to him. And despite pole time being down in the two flat ones, we're still only to 2 flat 7 now. Jean-Edouard Maillot is starting 27th. Kyle Cesare 29th. Nathan Olson will be in 29th position. Aiden Young then in 30th.
Over to 31st, where George Griffiths, who's got the lowest iRacing in the field at 3,000, he's there with Anthony Landry there in 32nd. You've then got Paul Darling then in 34th position. Out there on the grid, it's Logan Ragione, who will be classified as 33rd. We just missed that on our graphic. William Rasmussen is 35th. And we are getting word that Aidan Pohl is going to be a non-starter here today, having issues with his PC. A real shame out there as he's looked to set himself up and get ready. He's a wonderful streamer and content creator in the world of sim racing, and it is an absolute shame to see that his race is over before it started for 40 minutes worth of action, Joe.
So a grid of 36 cars. We've already seen just how tough the competition is, Jake. So, I mean, what do you do in this situation? What are the keys to set yourself apart in such a stacked field?
Well, in such a stacked field, you've got to look at saying that this is a race of high ladders and high stakes. You know what the end goal is going to be at the end of this race, so do not drive yourself out of contention in the opening 5 minutes of this one. You can't go out there and win this race in the opening 5, but my goodness, have we seen many a driver lose it in the past over many racing series. So as you look to sit yourself down and say, what do I need to do? I look around, this is Sebring. Go and respect the bumps, because if you just drive this circuit and think, oh, I can impose my will on this track, you can't. You need to be very much in a position where you go out and be aggressive, but also very much conservative in the style you drive. And so I think this is going to be a pick and choose your moments. You have to let the opportunity come to you. But if I'm looking at those drivers at the front, you have to, in the first 10 minutes of this race, Joe, break up Xander Reed and Mitchell de Jong, or they'll run away.
How cool is this? I'm getting some information that today's free practice 2 for the real race saw the fastest time at 2 minutes, 0.775. That's pretty close to what they did in qualifying here. So there's your accuracy for how well iRacing has modeled this car. As we head around Sunset Bend, we're getting ready to start for a 40-minute race. There are no pit stops. This is a sprint to the finish. And as Carrera Cup North America goes racing on the virtual side, we are ready, and the pace car is in. Green flag is out, and Xander Reed is on the loud pedal. He'll have Mitchell de Jong. 2 is outside trying to challenge him, but who is going to make it to the first corner first as we go 3, almost 4 wide behind him? My goodness, they are aggressive at the start here, but it looks like Mitchell de Jong is going to get a nose just ahead.
It was a critical start. They were all blocking each other off the run, and it was all 4 of the 5 cars from Fiercely Forward that found themselves side by side. One car, Luke Wallace, gets pushed out of line then in the middle of the group. He's got to be careful of a slowdown penalty in the early stages. That would be the iRacing system telling him he cut the course. He has to give the time back. He looks like he's okay then for the moment as he looks to set down. One car in trouble then with the black and orange mechanical flag showing is Jean-Edouard Maillot, who is in all sorts of trouble. So he'll have to come in for mandatory repairs. Sean Campbell in 5th now, working out the hairpin.
And Michael Polisek also got spun around at turn 3 as I thought I saw a car just off in the grass coming into Fangio. not usually a place that you see a car go off. So I'm curious what happened there. In the meantime, look at this, down into Cunningham. My goodness, they're still looking at 3 wide.
Oh, this is tough. Leonardo Dragotta then sees this. He now gets to 2 wide with Kaidiel. Then you got May Tyson, a big loss there on the slide. Grass there for Dalton Zavadil as Guy Levesque. He's now going to get a chance to look then from the rear of DL as he now looks to try and hold himself then to an attacking position along the Flying Fortress straight, the greatest named straight in all of motorsport, I'll have you know. And now they will need to just get themselves into position, settle themselves down, and note that this is where the race is going to be. There was a little look then on the exit, and that will be a pass. That's Parker White getting the job done. He moves up to 9th past Luke Wallace, who has gone like a stone on this first lap.
He's up 2 as Parker White. Wallace is down 2 as we complete the first lap. But critically, Manuel Troncoso is up 3 in 4th. He's made up the most spots of anybody inside the top 10 right now. And still Mitchell DeYoung, though, who is leading. I take that back. Mitchell is up, he is up 1, rather. For a second, his showed on 3 on my screen, but that was the timing and scoring glitch. Anyways, Xander Reed is behind him as we go back to Guy Levesque, and he has got his hands full.
Dalton Zavadil is trying to protect the train here into turn 3, and they'll fight through 5 here. 4 is the transfer corner. 5 gets you the inside, and you can command it, and well done for the Falcon Sim Racing team. Porsche 992.2. Very nice pass as that has held its line and held its station very well. Bit of side-by-side behind as well as we go to the front. And note that Mitchell DeYoung and Xander Reed are in the perfect position right now. 1 and 2. What does that mean, Joe? It means one car can run away if they want to. And if another car like Andrew Caron, for example, goes to attack, it's a case of, that's my rear gunner. Your job is to get as wide as possible and defend for me.
Much like in real racing, having a wingman can be huge here in sim racing. Coming down into the braking of Tower Turn. It is a Coanda 1-2. Caron back in 3rd, being chased by Troncoso there in P4. Sean Campbell sitting in 5th, having lost a position in the early stages.
Yeah, 1 gone, and it's Jordan there, and it's 2 cars off the road. One of them from Solpec there, Max Muir, then in trouble. He's going to have to get himself back up to speed there. A dramatic moment then at Tower Corner as everyone was looking to try and line up through. Maximilian Muir is going to be looking at that one and realizing that his race, he's going to need a lot of help to get himself back into position. They are absolutely finding a serpentine as they go through. The pair went side by side. One caught the grass and then both tagged the other. And critically, that was that. There goes Xander Reed. He's now looking to try and get racy here.
He's got a very good run coming onto the main straight. Question is, does he try to do anything with it on his teammate? Or are they going to continue to formation fly in the early laps? He does not make a move. So I'm guessing that he didn't think it was worth trying to sacrifice what right now is great track position.
No, so you don't want to do anything silly here early on, and there will be drivers around or people helping out, like Elvis Rankin, for example, who will be giving advice out there to say, this is how quick you need to be going, this is what we need you to do in the early stages. With no pit stops in this race, it forces these drivers to make the moves on circuit. 40 minutes will be a long time to sit and wait, and I'm looking at this group right now. Luke Wallace is the car at risk of dropping the slipstream at the moment. There is Maytais in 16th position, looking to get back at Guy Levesque. But you can argue that the train goes as far back as here. Everyone's looking to try and pick up a run on the car in front. But if everyone's got tow, no one's got tow.
Exactly. And the drivers were saying it is extremely powerful at this circuit. So we come down into 10. Sounds like we have a replay from earlier in the race. This is the beginning down into turn 3. Is this where Polisek got turned? Oh, there was problems in front of him and was trying to avoid it. And it almost looks like he got a little bit of help, but I think it was already spinning by the time he got touched.
Well, he ended up in the pinball machine, and ultimately he's the one who gets run over from the group. So definitely no help for Michael Polisek. He was minding his own business, but in a field where everyone wants to go through, like they're sitting down and it's rush hour on Wall Street, they know that they've all got to get in before the sound of the bell, and that was a case of a bull rush around him. Nothing you can do about that. and so Polasek ends up paying for the price of that. But I look around at it, Joe. It has been an incredibly clean start to this race, with that and, of course, the Muir incident being the only two exceptions. Le Charité now side by side. Sean Campbell was looking to try and get a move. He doesn't make it happen because they're at risk of dropping the train here.
So Campbell back down to 6th now. Antoine looking forward, has about 0.8 up to Manuel just in front of him, the Canadian, looking forward. We've got another replay from a little bit before. This one is Anthony Landry, and this is down into the Jean Debian curves, down to Le Mans. Oh, getting the inside curve, unfortunately popping the car up, and the 39 of Landry is sent flying out to the grass.
I don't think I've seen a car go out that far in a very long time. It takes a lot of load to be uncorked to get to that section of the circuit. Normally when you see a spin like that, you normally see that the car loads and the driver tries to correct it and the car snaps the other way and finds the barriers. So to have that only load one way, to some extent, is a very good element of skill. Now here's Nathan Olsen a little bit further down in the pack now as he brings himself into a big scrap with the likes of Christian Meniz, who's trying to get into play. Nathan Olsen, who represents the Maradnas team, is hoping to hold himself steady, and that Maradnas team is the team that is owned by Daniel Morad.
And Morad was at Sebring for the Porsche Endurance Challenge just a couple of weekends ago. So obviously another driver that has big roots in sim racing, but also goes racing in the real world. Nathan Olsen looking backwards on Meniz, still under serious threat here. And it's not just Meniz, Ragioni. You've got Griffiths, Paul Darling. I mean, what a job by Darling after he got spun early on. He's still up with this group in 29th.
And Meniz actually has damage on the front right as well, as there's DL to the inside. Then he's going to get this one through Sunset Bend, and he manages it on Alex Johnson. So ultimately able to get that move with comfort then through Sunset and back into turn one once again. DL, in fact, getting the fastest lap of the race with that change, so can be very happy that he's been able to move on forward. He's there with Luke Wallace. He's trying to hold, and they're trying to catch what is now effectively a group of 9 out in front. And there's De Neuer looking to battle with Guy Levesque. Levesque is hunting right now, and I would argue that it's him who's going fiercely forward rather than the fiercely forward cars.
Ironic indeed. And the 5 now sitting behind the Canadian tries to size him up coming down into the safety pin, but decides not to try and attack, at least this time. We got to keep an eye on DL because we have to remember he might be a little bit out of position due to that incident in qualifying. Jordan Eyre going wheel to wheel down through Collier. This is a spot where you usually don't want to try and do that. He gets a wheel off into the grass, and that's what sent the pair of them into the tires.
Well, they were beating and banging there through Collier Corner, and quite simply, Joe, if you're going to shove someone out going through that small kink right before Tower Turn, and, you know, you expect the car to disappear, it's very tough, and Jordan Eyre will realise that, and so will Maximilian Muir, and I think Max pretty much wrote his own note there, both of them off the road, and both of them cost a lot of positions. Xander Reed happy to sit on the back then in this group in 2nd position, using the run here along the Ullman Straight over towards Sunset Bend. At the moment, it's in sim time, 5:40 in the afternoon, and look at it, it's a bright sky out there at the moment. We're not quite sunset conditions here today, but what we do have is great racing. And look at how aggressive Xander is over those bumps on the inside. You've got to be very careful sometimes out there when you're racing that your foot doesn't come off of the throttle because of just how bumpy it is.
And right now, it's been mostly smooth sailing for Coanda, but they're still under threat from Caron. Meanwhile, Parker White still sitting in 9th, has Gregory Hovison just in front of him, and that's Jaden Munoz. In fact, it's a real train of cars that goes pretty much all the way up to the lead. So I guess we could say that this runs for about 9 cars, this first group, and we're 10 minutes into this race currently.
Yeah, so they've already got a quarter of the race underway, and I would say this has been the business card section of the race. Hi, my name is X, I've been doing Y, and I hope to achieve Z over the course of this race. So you understand where everyone is, what everyone's goal and motivation is, and you start to get an understand of how they drive. These next 20 minutes, Joe, this is the meat and potatoes of the race. You settle down, you do the hard work, you then set yourself up for the end of the race.
Dalton Zavadil down in 16th, currently behind his Noyers, as you mentioned a little bit before, but this is a huge swath of teammates, 3 of them all together in this track. The Fiercely Forward team having quite a bit of representation in this series. So obviously they are hoping to try and make an impact, but unfortunately right now, Dalton is 1 spot outside of the points. Only the top 15 will score.
And so there is extra emphasis to get yourself into that position. And there's often been a sense with racing series out there that everyone's got to score points, everyone's got to be included. I love the fact that over half the field's not going to score a point. It puts a premium on a good qualifying and a good race. It raises the stakes higher. And I think these drivers will know that if you can't get a top 15 out of a result here, Joe, then you've got to go back to the drawing board and try a bit harder.
Exactly. The points are what matters most. And Dalton is doing impressive because he's actually recovering from a torn meniscus on his left knee. So even injury can affect your sim racing career, not just your real racing career. We go back to Manise once again. He's in a little bit of a battle with George Griffiths and Logan Raggioni. In fact, he's got a nice run coming off of turn 1 down into 3. He gets chopped off.
Yeah, so nowhere there for Manise to go. He's got that damage to the front right that will be affecting. I do note as well, Manu Troncoso for Drago Racing, he's up into 3rd position. He's just made a pass and there's a spin down at the hairpin. There's a big crash at the hairpin. Campbell's around. La Charité as well is going to drop down the order. Disastrous then as they've gone through. And suddenly, look at them, the Fiercely Forward cars have decided they want a bit of a fight against each other.
Oh, that hurt Sean Campbell. He is down 15 spots from where he gridded now, and it's certainly thrown the cat amongst the pigeons up in front of him. Dalton Zavadil is capitalized on it. Not only is he in the top 15, he's moving up to 14th now.
Yep, and now he's got to try and jump. Someone like Sean Campbell's got to get himself set. There's a checkup as they go through, and we'll get a look at what has happened here in this run through. So here's the move. It's Troncoso on the brakes, and just because he made the move, there's the WSR car to the inside. That catches the other WSR car just in front of La Charité. Joe, rule 1 of sim racing, don't hit your teammate.
Rule 1 of any racing, really. That's going to make for an awkward debrief for both of them. Sean, no doubt, pretty upset about that happening as he was having a good race up till then. Lost a couple spots, but was nothing to worry too much about. Gregory Hovesen is currently behind Kai Diel, who is now up 10 positions from where he started. He is not letting that qualifying incident keep him down.
No, he is making his progress in the race. It doesn't matter where you start. They don't ask you how, they ask you how many. And at the moment, the answer's 10. At the moment, Ross O'Connor then is going to find himself in a bit of a side-by-side into turn number 1. Diving through, there is Sean Campbell. Oh, big contact there for Jordan Johnson. Gets a massive swipe there with Maytice just in front. That's going to give Campbell the outside of turn 3, out inside of 4, outside of 5, but he might be able to pinch off the exit, get a better run, and will do off the exit. Now he's got the gurney bend on the inside for 7, move made. Brilliant stuff then between them, but it goes to show you they are fighting for scrap. They're fighting for the chance of points at the moment.
Oh, it's going to be tight here as we go 3 wide down into the hairpin. They're going to make it out the other side just barely. Wonderful job by Sean Campbell getting a couple spots and all the insanity in the mid-pack. He is not resting on his laurels or moping after that incident. He is already on the attack.
He's very much a heads down, let's drive with everything we've possibly got and then some style driver. He looks at adversity and he has it for breakfast as he looks to try and pull himself back up through the order. He knows that at the moment it is Aiden Maytice who is the driver gatekeeping the points right now in P15. But top two don't know what's gone on pretty much, because now they're just 4 at the front after the contact that's gone around. Parker White was able to skip on through into 5th position through all of it, but it's created a massive divide right now. Now they've got to work together. Here's a look at Mitchell de Jong in his room, and look at how much he has to fight in through all of the corners there. And I'd argue at this point, he is just going to be there, concentrating on his race, knowing that, yeah, I've got the race lead for now, but at any given point, when does the alliance break?
Yeah, a racing driver that is not selfish is a rare one indeed. They both want the win. Interesting. Did we cover Troncoso getting up to 3rd past Caron? Because I swear Andrew was up in that podium spot earlier in the race.
It was just before the crash, Joe. So he'd made the move at turn 5. He'd got it done. And then the first braking zone after that in the Drago racing car was when they started checking up behind, and then we had the big incident.
So we got distracted, and then he snuck on through as Reed continues to follow very, very closely, but is not showing any signs of trying to attack. It is just a simple 1-2, but will it stay that way later on? This top 4 have split away because of that incident earlier. Parker White behind by almost 3 seconds at this stage. As there you see the gap that he has to make up.
It is a pretty sizable gap here for Parker White, so I wouldn't be shocked here if he's just looking at this race right now here, Joe, and going, well, it's 2.8 seconds. That's going to be really tough to claw down at the best of times. I've got Munoz, Wallace, DL, Hoverson, Johnson, Lecharite, Dragotta, and Levesque on the back. If I'm not careful, I'm not looking at 5th place points, I'm looking at 13th place points. So I think he's just settling down and saying, keep the pace high, don't let an opportunity come away for any driver behind.
Risk versus reward. That's what you got to watch out for. Ross O'Connor, though, is seeing if he could take a risk just to get overall position, even if it's not for points. That's Will Rasmussen just in front of him, who is our hardest charger so far. 16 positions gained. He's done phenomenal.
Yeah, he has driven fantastically there in the pole racing car, and Rasmussen here will look behind and realise O'Connor's trying to line one up here at Sunset Bend. Inside line. Now you're going to scrub the mid-corner speed by being so narrow. Down on the inside. Look at how the car gets buffeted about there over the bumps. Just about gets a run that is somewhat decent, but that's about it out there over towards turn number 1. So he's not going to be close enough to go sending a search party down there for an overtake. He's going to come up empty-handed in that regard. And Hoverson then falling to the back of the pack then. So what's happened to him then through turn number 1? I think that he might have just gone into the opening corner, found himself with half a slide and realised, look, my teammate's quicker. And look at him all over the road there at turn 5, Joe.
He's lucky he did not lose it, because that curb is unforgiving. I swear I see a little damage on the nose of the car too, so he may have ran into something or someone, and it is not helping at this stage because he is dropping Guy like a bad habit here, and Dalton Zavadil is already on the charge.
Oh, it's final corner where it looks like most of the damage has been done. He took a massive punch up against the tyre bundle out of Sunset Bend. That has certainly hurt him, and now he is wounded, and I think every driver behind notes it. He doesn't have the black and orange mechanical flag showing. Move through Collier, dive down the inside. They are fiercely swarming around him. Round he goes, made ties with the contact. Everyone just about avoids it. No, bang! In goes Carl Cesare.
Oh, Hoverson suddenly finds himself with multiple cars. Question is, will that bring out a yellow, since that did involve quite a few of them back there? Obviously, in sim racing, you can take a tow, so it is cleared. But in the real world, they're, again, trying to mimic the real Porsche Carrera Cup North America. So, as the drivers carry on, there is the caution flag. We're going to be interrupted almost exactly halfway through.
That is almost on song out there, and this is going to take a lot of time out of the race because they'll be bringing themselves down to a certain speed limit. They'll be able to save the fuel, so they'll know that they're going to be all okay on fuel because they can bring the pace down, and they're looking at how aggressive do I have to be on the restart. So crucially in a scenario like this, Joe, I would take stock at this moment in time. If I was out of the group, I've got a chance to be in it now and be aggressive. If I'm fifth on back right now, you've just been given a new lease of life.
Yeah, and the two that I'm looking at that have been given that new lease are Williams Esports. Think about Parker White, the gap that he had up to the top 4. That has now been erased. Kai Dial, he had to fight his way through the field. That costs time. If his pace is better than, that 8th place, then this means that he gets a refresh, and now he could try to take a few more positions without having to play catch-up quite as much.
Yes, and so if you're not playing catch-up, you are right in the midst of the battles. You're happy as a driver because you've got the breadth of competition that's there. You're looking at every chance to make these moves, and you are thinking, right, I can get stuck in and I can find that chance. They will line up behind the Porsche iRacing first safety car, and they'll look and they'll go, okay, if I got damage, I've now got a chance to maybe go in and fix that damage. Of course, they don't have what is known as a fast repair or a spare car out there to jump into. What they do have, though, is the ability, because they are under safety car conditions, to take as much as they can and go through. Here's the replay. So Hoverson is limping around, and the Fiercely Forward cars are pushing for a move. It's May Tice who's the second car, who jumps down the inside, and there's next to nothing in that. That's just a bit of body contacts they've gone through. Hoverson there, I think, can be accused of maybe being unable to get the car to check its brakes in time, especially with the damage to the front as well, Joe. That could have created that scenario where it rolls back onto circuit, and basically it looks like a junkyard afterwards.
Ooh, there was a lot of drivers having to scatter in a big way. And I think that no, that wasn't the 77 that we saw hit. That was the 11, actually. That was Kyle Cesare involved in that. And then I think Maho as well in the 38 car. Jean Edouard also involved in the incident. But those three have headed... no, excuse me, the 38 is still recovering, I think, from the opening incident. So it's just those two I see in pit lane taking repairs, Kyle and Gregory. Others must have tried to stay out on track to see if they can survive at this stage. But now, like you said, we are just simply resetting, and we'll get going in a couple laps time. But this is likely going to take us to maybe about 10 minutes left.
It puts you in true sprint mode, I think. And so with the lights on, that confirms there is at least one more lap then that they will have to do. Now, officially, Jean-Edouard Maillot is getting a wave around here, so he'll be able to jump the queue and get to the back of the train without losing any time. He'll be going from 3 laps down to 2 laps down in this group as he gets a little hop over the curb there as he tries to work his way around. All cars move over to the right-hand side of the circuit to facilitate this wave around going through, and Jean-Edouard Maillot will be, by a couple minutes, the fastest car on track out there. I will correct myself. Then it was Kaizen Racing out there who was being run for William Rasmussen and not pole racing there. So that Kaizen Racing is certainly working out well. So that's done a lovely job. But Jean-Edouard Maillot gets the wave around going through, and you're looking at, Joe, how you're setting up. If you're looking at it and you got anything with double digits, maybe even going towards single digits left in the race, I think it's gloves off, it's knuckle dusters on. You go out there, you attack.
Oh, absolutely. This is going to be just as fierce as what we saw at the start of the race, even more so now that there's less time. I want to give credit to Michael Polisek. He's another one that's really actually kind of liking this yellow flag. He has taken the opportunity to come into pit lane. Remember, he had damage from the opening lap. He's getting that repaired, hoping to get back out on circuit. Now, he'll be at the back of the line, mind you, but at least he'll have a car that's back in better condition.
Yes, so you're back at the line, which is not great because you've got all those cars in front of you to pass, but you've got a great chance because you've got a car that works for you. So that's going to be huge. Let's take another look then at a replay of this. And this is Xander Reed then as he's jumping through. Now look at how much curb hop they're getting here. Sawtooth style curbs as they get that rise through, and they're looking to try and get as much influx of grip as possible. So it's very touring car style how they do it. So they get up on two wheels, Joe, and when the moment that you get those two left-hand side contact patches hitting back onto the road surface again, you get a massive influx of grip, then you rotate the car, and that helps to get that rotation going.
And there are definitely drivers here who have competed in the Porsche Esports Super Cup before, which is the top level in Porsche Esports. And you could tell just the amount of control that they have. Michael back out on the track. We said that he was going to lose some positions. Well, because there are other drivers that have run into issues here today, he is still going to be restarting in 30th. So that's at least a small crumb of comfort for him as we wait for Gregory Hoveson to try to get back out on track. Looks like he is still taking repairs. The 11 is also back out there. He'll be restarting 31st and a lap down.
Yeah, so that is going to be as tough as it can be. There's a lot of weaving going on. They need the tyre temperature up here, Joe, because lights are off here on the Porsche iRacing first safety car, which means we're going green with about 12 and a half to 13 minutes remaining.
Here we go. Hold on to your hats. It's about to get crazy out there. The drivers are all eager. Mitchell de Jong knows what he has to do, but he started from second last time. Will that make a difference? Will Xander try to do to him what Mitchell did to his teammate? As they come around the last corner, Sunset Bend, under the bridge, and the safety car releases them. Mitchell has control of the field, holding and waiting for the call, and there it is. Green flag is out. There's a couple drivers making quite a jump behind them. They're going to pop to the inside of the first corner. Big run coming up the inside. I believe that might be Parker White as we go 4 wide for second place, and it's going to be Manuel Troncoso, who is all the way to the outside. Cars in the grass as they're trying to find racing room down to 3.
Kai DL almost pushed out in the grass. Andrew Caron was very lucky on that restart. They timed the jump to the green flag. They've been practicing that then to get ready in case there was a restart, and they absolutely got it to the tee. And so they caught out Troncoso, created that gap. Xander Reed is there in second still, but Parker White is third, and there's still going to be 2 wide here because Caron can't clear Luke Wallace for the moment. That brings DL back into play. A little wide in the background then from one of the cars battling Sean Campbell. That's Leonardo Dragotta.
It is now all to play for these drivers. They've been bunched back up, and as they all look to the inside coming down into Cunningham corner, they've got to give some space, and they don't for the 28 of Rasmussen as he spins around.
Yeah, he's struggling now. His tyres are hyperheated now. 1, 2, 3. They're all going to go across. Big accident there. Rasmussen caught up then as he will look around. Logan Raggioni is there, and so too Danish Hassan, who's been avoiding a lot all day and ultimately isn't going to get the Luke Manska Porsche then out without too many dramas. A big old moment then in the mid of the pack, but it still continues up to the front. DL is on the charge, and he's not doing it on the down low. He's doing it front and center, side by side with Luke Wallace. It's DL who's got himself the toe.
He's up 12 positions. Can he make it one more? At least this will be his 12th position, I should say. He's bringing along Jaden Munoz, who sneaks up the inside of Wallace. Wallace tries to carry the speed onto the main straight, using that little bit of banking with the concrete up to the wall. They're going to continue to go wheel to wheel down into turn 1. And guess who's coming to dinner? Antoine in the 21 thinks about it, but then backs out, looking for a safer opportunity. He's going to try and get one, makes a little bit of contact there with Munoz.
And his teammates, so they've got to be careful. It's a tackle, be attacked. So now Le Charité with the Vec down the inside. Johnson side by side. Sean Campbell now to the inside of him. This is tough because somewhere, you've got to extend the accordion back out and someone's going to jump the run. And so you're looking around at Sean Campbell, who's desperately trying to get back into play. That for 11th position as they run to the hotel hairpin once more. Sean Campbell, remember, he was down as low as 19th after the spin down at this hairpin. He is really looking to make some moves.
I am amazed at how fast he's worked his way back through the field, trying to get 11th away from Sean Campbell. He'll duck down to the inside, but he isn't far enough alongside by the time they get to the apex, but Alex outbreaks himself.
What a move by Sean Campbell. He knew the limit of extremities he needed on the brakes. And Alex Johnson, well, he'll have a bit of Rod Stewart in his ears. We are sailing straight on by.
The 12th place driver now has to refocus once again. Sean Campbell in front of him focuses on the 44 of Guy Levesque. For 9 minutes left to go in this race. De Jong still leads, Xanders in second, but they've made good on the restart. Despite being under attack initially, they've ran away by about a second over third.
There's a huge gap out there, 1 second. You don't know how important it is. Now, this was Danish Hassan's view of it, so he's trying to jump through the gap there. He just understeers into the cars there. It's clumsy out there from Danish as he was looking for room. He basically painted himself into an instant there, and it did no good. Guy Levesque, though, right now, it's time to play the game, son, as he looks at Antoine Le Charité here. Two Canadians battling it out as they head themselves towards turn one, and it is Levesque who will go and get it. And in the background, Jordan Johnson chucking the Solpec car with Alex Johnson. It's a battle of who's best Johnson back there.
Still going side by side down into three. Alex Johnson again has to back out. He is getting mugged right now. Dragata sneaks through, but now he's got a whole bunch of his teammates. His 5 of the fiercely forward cars, nose to tail.
You sunk my battleship. It's 5 in a row, and it's the big carrier out there at this point in time. They've got to work as a team to try and pull themselves down into line. And so it's all right when you've got teammates. If you've got back in the pack of it here with the likes then of Ross O'Connor, he's got to play gunner for Aidan Young, Nathan Olsen, Charles-Etienne Boucher, Max Muir, and Christian Moniz. They're all there, and they are jumping about at it because at the moment, this is the perfect scenario right now for Fiercely Forward. Which 3 of our 5 cars are going to score points?
I was just going to say that because right now Johnson and Zavadil, I think, are the only ones that are in that position at the moment. Boucher is trying to cut back underneath, doesn't quite get the exit that he wants, though.
No, so at least at this point, if you're trying to find a move, if you're trying to find what's going to set it up for you, I would turn around and say, okay, we can't get it straight away, but what we can do is sow some seeds, get wide in the mirrors, try and look like we're going to go for a move, then get back into line, not make that move, and hope we see a mistake from the car in front. If you do, next corner, you're jumping up on top of it. With only 6 3/4 minutes to go, though, you are needing a lot of help. This is must-make moves now.
Following that 89 car down through Sunset Bend, Max Muir, the one in front of him currently. Moniz sitting in behind as we are going to go wheel to wheel between the fiercely forward cars, Johnson and Zavadil. Johnson takes the inside. Zavadil tries to pull the switch through on him, but again, does not get the speed that he needs. He is going to try and look to the inside down into turn 3. It's going to be tight. They're given just enough space there, and he's still got Aiden in the 84 sitting behind him. In fact, they're now starting to get slowed up.
Well, work it out between you. It's clear that there's no team orders here at Fiercely Forward. Maytai is trying to find that lane, and so too Dalton Zavadil. So how brave on the brakes do you go? Bit of side-by-side, chuck it on down the inside. Thank you very much. That's the run off the exit, but not secure yet. They'll have to go all the way to Cunningham Corner for that. Sean Campbell was also eyeing up Jaden Munoz's position in front. You'll see that side-by-side there for a moment, but it doesn't happen there in the distance. But Maytais here is just staring at this going, well, come on, somebody throw a pie.
As they come through Collier Corner, still the 5 are together, but for how much longer? As Ross O'Connor is, or excuse me, Aiden Young rather, is trying to pass Ross O'Connor for the 18th position back there. The 71 just didn't have enough of it down into Bishop Bend. He's still got to watch out for Nathan Olsen in the red machine just behind him, and then Max Muir as well in the black and yellow. Both are on the attack. In fact, that battling between the teammates has severely stacked up and congested this entire group.
And all the while, Manuel Troncoso is pulling a couple tenths here and a couple tenths there, here a little, there a little, and he's now going to leave this one, I think, to the final laps. Now, crucially, look at the time, 4:36 when they cross the line. You might think that means absolutely nothing, Joe. That means they're going an extra lap longer. It's 3 to go.
And out of turn 1. Ooh, that was a little bit wide from Mitchell, just kicking up the dirt a little bit. Jaden Munoz, he's still got Sean Campbell just in front of him. In fact, I think La Charite is going to try and take that position, and he smoothly does. He just sliced through there.
Maybe a little bit of communication about how that pass needs to go. Munoz was shuffled out there by Sean Campbell heading towards turn 1. So the Charité will say, I will take your graceful charity. I will discard 2 places behind me, draw 3 cards and say, I am going to jump up and gain much more out there at this point. So he'll be eyeing Sean Campbell up and saying, well, if we're the hot knife through butter, we're the ones who's going to have to move forward to it. Over towards Cunningham Corner they go.
Still nose to tail with Sean leading the trio. He's got that 9th place, doing a great job getting back into the points and climbing. We've got a replay in the meantime. And this was Raggioni coming out of Sunset Bend. And many a driver has done that over the years, Jake.
Everyone's done that, and even more so because over the last few years, Joe, they've actually paved over that bit. That used to be a strip of grass, so it used to just be you tag the grass, you spin. Now that it's paved over at the final corner, Sunset Bend, and everyone goes out there and it's uber aggressive, and you know, you give an extra 6 inches of pavement out there for a driver, they'll use 6.5 of it. That's where they're going to set up and say, what are you going to do? Now I'm looking around and thinking, well, what are these drivers going to do? You get a tiny bit of understeer in these cars because the tyres start fading a little bit. You're in those barriers quicker than a whisper.
I've seen very few cars without some damage on the nose. That's how tight the racing has been. But despite the damage on the nose of Kevin Desnoyers, he is up in the 16th. Next on the list is Johnson, who's within the points in P15, but he's about half a second up the road. Caron just set the fastest lap of the race in the meantime from 5th.
And that fastest lap is important because that's a bonus point as Ross O'Connor, 19, fighting hard with Aidan Young. He's in the thick of it at the moment. Young to the inside of 3. Now's going to get the inside of 5. You're going to have to really work this outside line to make it stick. And he's trying to push him out. Oh. And he gives him a full hip check, straight back, across the road, under the Gurney Bridge. And everyone scatters to try and avoid. I think Paul Darling's been caught out in it as well with heavy damage. There is body parts everywhere.
He was indeed. It was Paul Darling that just clipped him. The car's still running. Question is it tracking straight here? He's carrying the 55 on at the very least. Attrition is starting to rear its ugly head at the rear of the field.
Yeah, and also at the front, though, make some note of this, Joe. Manu Troncoso has caught the group, and suddenly Xander Reed is going to have to be deployed into action here.
I've been wondering, because Xander Reed is at times less than 1/10 of a second behind Mitchell de Jong and still hasn't made a move. So yes, he's either going to have to play a rear guard or he's going to have to get a move on and pass his teammate. So this one's for the stewards, but they said you need to leave racing room, and unfortunately he did not leave the space.
Well, he didn't leave the space, but you turn around, if you're out there, that's an unsafe rejoin, Joe. And it doesn't matter what book or element that you've got there. Ross O'Connor should have been on the binders and looking for a safe way to rejoin the circuit. He didn't, he wasn't thinking, and he's caused a 4-car incident.
Unfortunate right towards the end of the race. And white flag is out. Mitchell de Jong has 1 to go. Xander Reed right behind him. Troncoso is there. If these two fight for the win, they will be vulnerable.
They will be, and so it's a case of what's bigger, the result for the team or the pair of them going for individual glory here. Wallace and Levesque going at it, and right now Levesque trying to put the sledgehammer down then on this pass, and he can't quite get it done. Luke Wallace is holding himself brilliantly on this final lap as they head to the hotel hairpin. Who's going to be the best on the brakes as they work through? It is going to be Wallace who's got the line, but again, Levesque tries the outside line, just doesn't have the drive off the exit of the hotel hairpin. 5 at the front, but for the moment, they've pulled a gap here, the Coanda boys, De Jong and Reed.
Oh, it's not over. Wallace and Levesque is not a hit cartoon. It is a hit battle here between these two who are unwilling to give up right at the end. Guy gets to the inside, but it switches back to the outside, down through Collier. Behind them, Sean Campbell giving watch. Could he pick their pocket?
He very much could if they continue on like this. Look at what it means. Here they've been side by side for about 5 corners. Out here trying to figure this out onto the Flying Fortress straight. Now Levesque in the Falcon car gets the move. But I asked the question, it's great for this for 7th. What about for 1st through 5th, Joe?
Right now, that 1st through 5th still sees De Jong leading. There they are onto the Ullman Straight. We'll have to abandon that great fight because this is what we're here for. Who takes the victory? Xander Reed looks to the inside. Is it going to be a last lap pass? He's going to try and stick it in there, and he does manage to take the apex away just. It's going to be a battle to the finish line. It's a drag race as De Jong has the outside. Is that enough momentum? A nose ahead for Xander Reed. It is going to be also close at the line. Who gets it? Mitchell De Jong by 0.006 of a second for the first ever race.
He needed as much drive as he possibly could there. He was behind at the final point of putting the throttle down, but he just used the outside line. The bump's a little bit kinder, and Mitchell De Jong, a wily veteran, knowing how to use the car and just getting that margin and all the critical points that go along with it. Incredible stuff.
The respect shown between the teammates. He did not attack him until the very end, trying to preserve that 1-2 for the team, and they did. But wow, that was a wild finish. We had a number of meatball flags there at the end, so there must have been some incidents right at the finish, unfortunately. But that takes us to our results for today's race. Man, Jake, I was afraid that with them so close, it's going to be hard to get passes done, but we saw some incredible side-by-side action.
Look, they're the 40 best in the world, and they're not the 40 best that's sitting in a line either. I wouldn't want to catch them in a queue. They were absolutely fantastic out there, and Joe, I think the results just showed it.
All right, Mitchell De Jong taking your victory here today, and it was Xander Reed behind him. Look at that gap, 0.006 of a second. Manny Troncoso was 3rd as Parker White worked his way up to 4th today, gaining 7 positions. Andrew Caron was 5th. Kai Diel, Parker's teammate, up 12 to finish 6th. Guy Levesque was 7th as Luke Wallace finished 8th over Sean Campbell, 9th, who did get by La Charite, who finished in the top 10. And then we go to the next group here, Jake.
We absolutely do. 11th position for Jaden Munoz, and these are the minor points positions. Jordan Johnson, Leonardo Dragotta, Dalton Zavadil, and Alex Johnson picking up the final point. The bubble man is Kevin Desnoyers, as Aidan Maytage will be 17th, with Maximilian Muir and Charles-Etienne Boucher then making up 19th. Christian Meniz, ultimately with damage today, is 20th.
Then down to the 21st position, it is George Griffiths, who finished about 13 seconds shy of the lead. That's how close everything was at the end. Aaron Myers was 22nd, with William Rasmussen in at 23rd. It was Nathan Olson, P24, followed by Aiden Young, 25th, and Paul Darling managed to limp that car home in 26th. Polasek, with his repairs even, still had that car kind of not at 100% at 27th. And the last car on the lead lap, Ross O'Connor, 28th. Kyle Cesare was 29th. And Jean-Edouard Maillot was in 30th.
And then you're starting to hit the drivers who had a bad day at the office. Logan Ragione in there, Danish Hassan, Gregory Hoverson you can put in that list. He was someone who could have scored points. Anthony Landry, Jordan Eyre, and ultimately a non-start today for Aidan Pohl there for Kaizen Esports, making up than the 36 cars that made the grid today, Joe.
And I believe we've got our winners ready, so we're going to be talking to Mitchell de Jong about that victory and maybe get some insights onto what was happening during the race itself. Mitchell, congratulations. You are the inaugural winner of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup North America Series, but it was by 0.006 of a second. Were you a little nervous there to the finish line?
Well, thankfully it was my teammate, so we had a good plan throughout the whole race, just trying to manage things. And yeah, it was still stressful at the end. To be honest, my tires were absolutely falling off a cliff there, as you could see with the gap coming down. And we knew that we wanted to kind of battle and duke it out at the end. Came down to one corner, and yeah, I could trust the guy on my inside, so no worries there. But it was a lot of fun. Happy to get that result already, and yeah, good day.
So how much was the team kind of planning out the race ahead of time? Did you know that if you kept those top two positions at the start, that you wanted to keep running line astern without fighting? And was there any orders on who would be allowed to take the lead once there was a certain point?
We talked about it a little bit. I mean, ultimately it came down to where we qualified. Thankfully, we both put in really good laps, like right at the end of the session. And then it was like, okay, everything is to play for now. We can really control things. The lead car has a pretty severe tire disadvantage, and the toe and the dirty air actually is like really good in these cars. So yeah, the guy out front isn't really the one that you want to be. And yeah, we just tried to manage it, keep the pace high. I mean, we did not want to slow down at all, because that can just bring more cars into the fight, and that's when things can get chaotic. So the safety car kind of situation really threw a wrench in the works there. But it was okay in the end. We got a little bit of a gap and able to hold that somewhat to the end. So yeah, just a lot of managing the little things. Not a whole lot we could do other than just drive as fast as we could, though.
You've set the bar high for yourselves, taking the victory and a 1-2 for the team. Can you keep this momentum over at Miami?
We'll see, hopefully. Haven't driven that track before, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, I mean, we have a great group of people here, some great drivers. So yeah, we're just going to put in the work, and then hopefully we can get the good results again.
Well, congratulations on the win. That was Mitchell de Jong, your victor today after starting from second. Our pole sitter, though, is with Jake Xander Reed.
Yeah, so Xander, a day today for you of very nearly, but obviously the pace was there. You got leapfrogged at the start of this race, and then at the at the restart, it looked like it could have been that all over again with the way they were timing the jump behind you, but it fanned out like a four-headed hydra.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I kind of got a little nervous on the restart because I think it was Parker on my inside by the wall, and everyone has really cold tires, so it was pretty concerning to not get spun from him or anything happen there, but also not hit Mitchell and just keep the car under me, get through the corner, and then let the tires come up to temp. But yeah.
Very, very tough day's worth of racing, and especially seeing as you're in that second position for a very long time. It looked like you had the second pulled out, but was there any worry in the late stages, the way that Manu was dragging everyone back over towards you again?
Yeah, a little bit. He had really, really good pace at the end, and it definitely kept me and Mitchell on our toes for sure. Definitely we're keeping an eye on him the whole time on those last few laps.
We know that it's been all business with you because the cap's backwards, and as we all know, a backwards cap means that it's all going down. So question is, a perfect start P2 for you, but how are you looking at transferring this momentum heading to Miami next week?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I never raced Miami before, but the few practice laps I've done so far have been good and solid, and yeah, ready to carry the momentum forward.
Well, the momentum is there. It's a 1-2 for Coanda Esports, and that's going to be huge for Xander Reed. A second place finish here today for him, and I believe, Joe, that is just how brilliant of a day it has been out there.
It has been fantastic for them, and it's been great for us, too. My goodness, we had some incredible battles out on track. But as we've been alluding to, we are not going to sit still, as you never do in racing. We immediately head a little bit over on the panhandle of Florida to Miami instead for March 25th. That is going to be round 2 when that one kicks off, and that will be at 20 hours 55 Eastern, is I think what that is trying to allude to down there at the bottom. So we'll get that cleared up a little bit later. Regardless, the Miami Grand Prix circuit will host our second race. And Jake, I mean, I'd ask your thoughts, but I mean, it's probably going to be similar to mine, which is just simply, holy cow.
Yeah, what a great race. And I think what was so important about it is, yeah, it fanned out in the middle towards the rear of the field. It felt desperate. It felt like one of the old school Westerns where everyone was, you know, just trying to find a way to get out of the bar. But ultimately, at the front, it was calm. It was quiet. It was very calculated, which is what we expect from some of the best sim racers in the world. They wait for the final moment to go for that move, the chance where nobody's going to have a chance to get back. But even that at the front was so supercharged, waiting for a chance for it to go through. You put them on Miami Autodrome. That is a wonderful circuit for battling. That run coming out all the way to about 11, 12, 13 and over the top. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a track blockage with how much side-by-side they'll have through that single file chicane.
I agree. It's probably going to be a bit messy. Hopefully they can manage it. And we hope everybody who is watching has enjoyed tonight's event. We've got 5 more to go. Thank you so much as well to our team today, Jake, Daniel, Dougie, and Christian. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
This is iRacing.